What up, though? You already know how I go. Smash, like, subscribe, comment. I don't care what you comment as long as you comment. You dig. Shout out Royce Crispy for the intro. Boy, you don't upgrade me. You dig. Shout out Royce Crispy. Go to IG. Look up Royce Crispy. KC. I'm surprised everybody on my page didn't know him. Like, I shouted him out and people were all in the comments. Hey, I know. Hey, but this right here, let's get to the video. Let's hurry up and get to this video. I know y'all don't like waiting. The attention span only so long, but let's get into this video real quick. And there really ain't no video, it's audio, but this from MatthewsBey, who's serving natural life, who's been down 33 years, who was a part of the great Ryan Road escape in Detroit. He wanted me to read this to you guys. I want to know y'all comments and y'all opinions. Because me personally, I got to play devil advocate a little bit, right? Even though I was a former prisoner, I still feel like if a life took, maybe yours should be took, especially if it was over somebody else's possessions. But then again, you got to think about the male brain or the human brain, period. But in particular, the male brain doesn't really develop. The frontal lobe doesn't really develop to around 25 years old. Women is a little bit younger. They're more mature, you know. Of course, that's why women got the advantage in the world. They're a little bit more mature. But if they made 17 and under people who sentenced to life without parole, cruel and unusual punishment, they should at least raise it to 21. At least. Because science says 25. That you don't start making adult, mature decisions until you're about 25, right? So you can look at it like, hey, look, this is what science says, but this is life. Somebody got to deal with their relative not being around for the rest of their life. But at the end of the day, too, when you jump in that game, when you're selling drugs, you know what comes with it. Let's stop playing and acting like these people just was super innocent out here. You're doing things. You're destroying the community. We are destroying the community and things that we done to get money in the name of money. Fast money. You dig what I'm talking about? But I'm about to read this from MatthewsBey. We're going to jump right into this, right? He says, Islam, bro. I wanted you to send this piece I wrote back on January 25th of this year entitled, What About First Degree Lifers? So I'm retyping it to send it to you on JPay. This is MatthewsBey, the one I did the interview with. Go check it out, please. He said, what about first degree lifers? My name is Monty Lamar MatthewsBey. I'm 53 years old, born June 18, 1968. I'm a presently serving a mandatory life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. The Michigan Department of Correction System. And hey, remember, y'all, when I told you, when you get sentenced to natural life in the state of Michigan, they really mean that. Boy, you better die and come back. You got to get your death certificate signed first, then you come back, period. Nothing else to talk about, okay? I am a prisoner presently serving a mandatory life sentence, right? I've served 33 years on this mandatory life sentence for a crime I committed on or about January 28th of 1989. At the time, I was only 20 years old. I made a horrible, unwise, poor decision to get involved in a drug ripoff that led to a murder. He's taking accountability, okay? The intentional killing of an innocent man for which I will forever regret for the rest of my life. At the time, I truly did not understand the gravity and severity of the crime of murder for which I had committed. I did know that there were consequences. I did know that there was a penalty for a crime of murder by law. However, I truly did not understand that for my actions, I would be penalized with the sentence of serving the rest of my entire life until I die in prison. Whew, those some harsh words. Even though he admitted he taking ownership, those are harsh. To know that you're going to be in a penitentiary and you'll never see the light of day without a fence in front of you unless you're looking up in the sky. You'll never see the light of day unless you're on a bus looking through a window with bars on it. That's hard. But let me continue. I will be the first to say that no crime should go unpunished, further saying that the consequences and punishment should fit the crime committed. Now, murder is the most egregious crime that can be committed. I disagree. That being the taking of another human life. However, what should this punishment be? Intentional taking, killing of a life. Intent being the key word. The several different intents of murder under the MCLA code in Michigan law. Some being voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, second degree murder, first degree murder, and felony murder. Remember, I told y'all felony murder has no statute. Boy, you're getting life without parole. stay up out of them streets. The most serious penalty is for the highest degree of murder. In Michigan, if an individual is found guilty of second-degree murder, the judge has the discretion, according to Michigan law, to sentence that individual to any number of years up to life in prison with the operative word in law is with the possibility of parole. Now let's consider second-degree murder, intentional killing with malice and forethought, meaning the intent is on killing the victim. Now let's consider first-degree murder, premeditated killing with the malice and forethought, meaning thought and planned out doing the act. When considering second-degree murder, the person thinks about it and is his or her is to kill, intent is to kill and nothing less. So the difference between first and second-degree murder is not much. Both degrees have the same intent, which is to kill. However, second-degree lifers are being given a second chance at life, eventually granted release from prison on parole. Why not look at first-degree lifers the same? They both have basically done the same exact crime, especially in committing in the act itself of murder with the same intent. Now, let's consider the options at the time of trial. Charged with second-degree murder, you could fight the charge and go to trial, and you could plead guilty and be sentenced to any numbers of years up to life with the possibility of parole in prison. Meaning admission of guilt before trial of second-degree murder may or may not get you sentenced to a term, a number of years of life with a possibility of parole. Both terms meaning you still one day have a chance to get out of prison. However, being charged with first-degree murder, there is not an option if not offered a plea, which would be a lesser charge and not first-degree murder. If charged with first-degree murder and you wish to plead guilty and admit guilt, the judge does not have any other option or discretion and has no other choice but to still sentence to you to a mandatory life sentence with no possibility of parole. There is simply no options of admitting guilt if charged with first-degree murder, because the penalty is the same if you fight the charge and go to trial and lose or admit guilt and plead to first-degree murder. At the age of 20 years old, 33 years ago in 1989, this was the situation. After making a horrible decision which led to murder and facing prosecution for first-degree murder and no plea being offered, what actually can an individual do to save his life? What advice can any attorney give his client if evidence is heavily against him? Again, I will be the first to say crime should not go unpunished. But what should be the penalty when considering all circumstances with first-degree murder who has no options to just admit guilt? This simply does not and would not change the penalty of getting a mandatory life sentence. Now, up until around the year of 2008, all individuals sentenced to terms of life without the possibility of parole for second-degree murder in Michigan was actually doing life and not getting paroles because the parole board assumed that life meant serving life in prison. Now, after discussions and debate along with MatthewsBey, shout out to MatthewsBey case, with judges, politicians, and parole board members, there has been a change. Y'all let me know if y'all want me to go look up MatthewsBey case and tell y'all what it is. You did. Now, second-degree lifers have been getting paroles and set free doing over 20, 30, and some even 40 years in prison. This was a change for second-degree lifers serving life for murder convictions. Now, around the year 2017, the U.S. Supreme Court said and ruled that it was unconstitutional to sentence a juvenile age 17 and under to life in prison. After many years of studies and looking at the age and mentality of maturity of a juvenile whose mind has not fully developed to the point of a grown adult, it was decided and ruled by the highest court in the land that juvenile lifers should be resentenced. This was a significant change for juvenile lifers. Now, first-degree lifers who are serving mandatory natural life sentences without the possibility of parole are looking for a change to get a second chance at life being released from prison. I am running out of characters, so I will continue with this with another stamp. So we're going to go on to his second message. Hope y'all listening. I want y'all opinions. Get down in them comments. I played devil advocate. I told y'all 2-3 ways that y'all can go with this opinion. Okay, now the second part of the letter continues. We are taking responsibility for crimes. We are showing remorse for victims of the crime. We are also expressing empathy for the victim's family, now understanding what they are feeling and going through. Also, we have changed our lives and our way of thinking over the period of time of incarceration. Past thoughts and ideas that have led to our present circumstances and the predicament we are in today, we no longer have those thoughts. And that can be true. That could be very true for a lot of people. Those reckless, destructive thoughts and ideas we had over 30 plus years ago led to our arrest and convictions for murder. Many of us have changed that way of old thinking and replaced those negative thoughts and ideas with more constructive and positive thoughts and ideas. Wouldn't that be a part of being reformed or rehabilitated? It is called the Department of Corrections, for y'all that don't know. It is called the Department of Corrections. What are you correcting? You correct a man just to live in prison the rest of his life. Some people deserve it. Don't get it twisted. I want y'all comments and opinions. Help me help mold my thoughts on this, right? And I've been in prison, but I can't just say some of these guys should get out. For real. Some of them don't deserve to ever see the light of day again. Okay. I deserve punishment for those poor choices which led to the loss of a life. Should the punishment be death by incarceration for natural life with no possible chance of parole, this considering the fact that we are in a state who does not have the death penalty. We are in a state that does not have the death penalty. After serving over 33 years straight in prison for a murder I committed at the age of 20 years old, I'm asking the government to consider passing a bill that gives reformed prisoners serving mandatory life sentences for murder a second chance at life outside of prison. The first step can be looking at the age of the prisoner when it comes. The first step can be looking at the age of the prisoner when the crime was committed and the circumstances of the crime which resulted in murder. The circumstances don't matter. The age does. What actually happened, and based on the facts, what should be the punishment and penalty if not life in prison meant as a punishment? Should it be 20, 25, or a 30-year cap? Should it be set criteria with stipulations for possible parole? For example, the prisoner must be over age of 50 years old. Also, the prisoner must have an extensive psychological evaluation done to see if he is mentally fit to function in free society. I agree with that. Also, does the prisoner show remorse, take responsibility for his crime, and etc.? Also, have the prisoner been reformed or rehabilitated while in prison or went through the process of correcting the bad, destructive behavior that led to his circumstances which resulted in this crime? This is just a starting point to consider if a such bill is considered or passed. Prepared by MatthewsBey, a prisoner in the Michigan Department of Corrections serving a mandatory life sentence for first-degree murder. I wrote this January and thought this might be something to share with the public and your viewers. Peace. P.S. Also, read the pool case and heard they had oral arguments where they talked about raising the age to 21 years old. I think it should be 25 myself, but let me know what y'all think. I play devil's advocate. Peace and blessings be to y'all. You already know how I rock. Big 5.